Hello fellow scientists, welcome to Metagene. Today I'm going to show you how to do setup and how to do basic play for the game that I just invented. So let's do it. Alright, we're going to show you how to work with two players for this particular one, but you can follow along the instructions that are provided both on the Facebook page, or if you're a playtester, you can follow along with the printed off instructions that were provided with your kit. So, I have the fungus deck. This one happens to be my favorite because of all the fun little facts with fungus. I've recently become obsessed with mushrooms because I think they're just the coolest little things. And it's in part the fault of this game. So, you can learn a lot from this game if you read all the flavor text. I've certainly enjoyed making it, and I hope you enjoyed playing it. Alright, let's get started. So, first thing you're going to do is you're going to separate your deck into the two constituent parts that it comes in. So you have your cards that have this on the back and cards that have this lovely design that Renee Campbell is letting us borrow just for playtesting and prototyping purposes. And thank you very much, Renee, for that. This is our niche deck. These cards are going to go into the global niche deck that are going to allow us to draw cards and have things to do throughout the game. You can notice down here that they have a fungus icon at the bottom, just like our species cards do. So it's easy to sort through all these cards if they get all mixed up, or if a toddler happens to get into them, and sort them all back out. Okay, so the first thing we need to do with our species cards is we look at the sequence down here at the bottom, and I've had to already edit some of these cards, so forgive me on that. But we have AAA for our last common ancestor card. And you'll notice that the last common ancestor has a different border around it, so it's very easy to identify. So I take 3 of these nuke-based pieces, and actually for setup we're going to go ahead and take 6 total, because that's all we're going to use for the entire game. And I'm going to go ahead and just put A facing me. Now, you'll notice on these that they say the same thing on the front and on the back of each piece. And you just rotate it, flip it around, you can switch between purines and pyrimidines. But none of that really matters. All you need to know is it's got A, G, C, and T on it. Okay, go ahead and shuffle up your species deck, separate from your niche deck. Alright, so we'll just give this one quick shuffle here. Belabor the fact. Alright. And now I need to do a few things with my niche deck. So first of all, I need to count out, normally you'll shuffle, but I need to count out 18 cards since we're playing a 2-player game. According to the instructions, you kind of want to get about somewhere in the ballpark of 36 cards for the base deck. So we'll go ahead and count this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So those are my contribution to the niches. And you'll see here that these cards have a lot of, or have the same resources that I have on all of my species cards. So these are a little bit easier for me to claim than they are for other players to claim. Okay, so that's my contribution to that. We also need to add 4 catastrophe cards. See that there? And do the same thing with this deck, with the fishies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I don't normally shuffle all these ahead of time, but we're going to forego that process. Alright, those all get shuffled together. Same thing with the fish. We got, if you can see here, CCT for our starting sequence for the other player. And I'm just going to pop CCT in there. Okay. Your last common ancestor card goes above your DNA tray. Notice I have it also above over here. And then your cards just go off to the side. Alright. Meanwhile, we need to shuffle up this global niche deck. And we'll just kind of simulate shuffling here a little bit. Normally we'd shuffle a little bit better, but there we are. And just put them around in a nice little pentagon like so. And there we are. Now if you draw any catastrophe cards, you can see that they're in here somewhere. There. If you draw any catastrophe cards while you're doing the setup, don't worry about it. Just set it aside until you put all your cards out, and then just shuffle it back into the deck. Okay? And that's it. You're pretty much ready to play. draw up 5 cards. We're good to go. The other player will draw 5 cards too. Okay. Alright. You may have noticed the board change a little bit there. We're going to start as if we've been playing for a little while. That'll kind of help you get a little bit better acclimated to how to play the game a little bit. Okay, so I forgot to mention during setup that you also are going to get 4 mutation cubes to start. Not a big deal, just grab 4 of these guys, put them up there with your nuke bases. Okay? Alright, so it is now my turn. I've been handed the player token right here, and I start from the top of the order on the metagene turn phases. So first thing I'm going to do is collect mutation cubes. So I get 3 mutation cubes plus 1 for each untapped species that I have. So I have tapped, tapped, and untapped here. So that's going to give me 1 extra mutation cube plus 3. Alright, and so now I have all these mutation cubes. I'll deal with those in a second. Untap and activate all of your species is step 2. So untap and activate all your species. Alright, so I got these guys up here that are already active and tapped. So I'm going to untap those. And this guy's in my reserve. And he comes up here. Alright, so the difference between the active and reserve area is basically these guys are free for the picking. Alright, if there's a catastrophe that happens that destroys your stuff, or another player's ability can attack your things, that's going to be all these guys up here. When you're playing new cards during your off turn, they're going to come down into this reserve area. So that's where this guy originated from. Okay, I've untapped step 2. So now step 3, I'm going to claim niches. Alright, so what the heck does that mean? Well, in metagene, the objective of the game is to get as many of these little gems, these resources, as possible while you're playing. And before the end of the game, which is, 3 of these catastrophe cards. On the 3rd one that pops up, bam, game's over. And you count up your gems or your resources, and that's how many points you have. One with the most points wins. Alright, so to claim a niche, to get these points, I need to do 2 things. So first of all, I need to claim a niche with a species, which means I'm going to actually lose that species in the process. So I look at my resources here down at the bottom of each card, and I see if they match, roughly, any of the resources that are up here in the play area. So I don't have much for purple going on. I have a few different things. I can only claim with 1 card. So I'm going to go for something simple right now and see if I can get it. So I'm going to try to claim this guy over here. Okay? So I have these bottom resources, green, blue, purple. So that's going to cover this, this, and this. I'm still short a purple and a blue. So in order to fill that niche, you have to use symbiosis with other organisms. You can use your own kingdom of life forms, or you can use your opponent's. So I'm actually going to tap my opponents because I know, thinking, hey, I collect mutation cubes. If I don't tap my stuff, then maybe I'll get more mutation cubes next turn. Or maybe I want to tap it on purpose so somebody else on the table can't tap those resources away from me. You play however you like. Either way, I need a blue and I need a purple. And I'm feeling spiteful against fish, so I'm going to go ahead and tap the stingray for purple, and I'm going to tap their last common ancestor for that extra blue. Now, once I've done that, I've filled the requirements of the card. I can therefore fill up the niche. I claim the points. I set the species card over here into my discard pile, and this into my points pile, which I put right here. If you have a special ability that gives you more points at the end of the game, say Archaeopteryx would sit right in this point pile as well. And that's how you claim a niche. Alright, let's see if we can claim any other niches before we keep moving on. Doesn't really look like I can. This one might be promising. Let's see. So I have, down at the bottom here, I'll kind of show you a little bit closer. Run through these cards. I got a blue and a purple down here. I got a green and a purple down on the bottom of this card. and I got 2 greens at the bottom of this card. But now what I really need to be looking at as well is the symbiosis values up at the top. So this one gets me a blue, this one's got 3 greens, this one's got a blue. So with that in mind, let's say I want to go for this card here, I need to get those 3 greens somehow. If I use this card to claim the niche, I'm going to have a little bit of trouble because I'm only using these 2 bottom values. So I need to use this green up here for symbiosis. So I think I'm going to do that. Now all I need is to claim it with some kind of blue. I can use Dead Man's Fingers, throw those on there, and then I have my shiitake mushrooms for symbiosis. So now I've used 2 fungi to claim a niche. That's perfectly legal. And I have coral fungi sitting out, or fungi. Everyone pronounces it differently. I never really know. You know, even professionals in the field, I don't think anybody really knows how to pronounce anything. But that's okay. We'll pronounce it how we like. Okay, so that's pretty much all I can claim. I only got 1 card left, so that's about all we can do. And step 4, we're gonna go to cleanup. All right, so I wish my toddler would help me out with that. Let's see. We'll replace any vacant niches. All right, so we got 2 that we claimed, so we need to replace those. All right, let's go ahead and do that real quick. No catastrophes. All right, now quick note: if one of these bad boys did come up, what would happen is you just follow what it says on the text. Each player loses half of their species, that's active species, rounded down. Okay, so I would lose, if I had drawn a catastrophe here, I would lose 1 of my species. The player over here would also lose 1 species. Doesn't matter if it's tapped or not. That doesn't have any bearing. If it's in reserve, it doesn't count towards your total. Okay, and then I need to pass the player token on to the next player. Here you go, invisible friend. And I redraw back up to 5 species cards in hand. So right now I have 4 species cards in hand. So I'm going to draw 1 more up. There we are. Ooh, Fly Amanita. That's a pretty one there. I like that one. Very fun little toadstool there. Okay. Now, my turn's done. This guy's going to start doing their thing. Whatever, I don't care. Flip it over to the other side. This is where it gets interesting. So this is what makes metagene a little bit different from your standard card game. Alright, I have this DNA tray. Right now, my sequence reads, in this particular case, right now it's reading AAA. Okay, you can kind of see that there. This works better if you're looking up from the table. Apologies, I'm not a film major here. I'm a math guy, so we're doing the best we can. Now, we're going to look at our cards here, and I don't know if you can see these, but my sequences, some of them don't really look like they're going to fit well with AAA. And what I mean by that is it's going to be very difficult for me to utilize these actions by spending mutation cubes to get to one of these other cards. Let's try. I'll kind of show you guys how this works. So here's a good one that we're going to try to do. This card is AGGA. This is the powdery mildew. All right, powdery mildew. To get to you, I need to make some of these A's turn into G's, and I need to get another letter in there. So right now, as I said, I have AAA. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a G right here, and I'm going to pay 2 of my mutation cubes to insert that G. Okay, I'm just going to pop that guy over and plug a G in there. So I have AAGA. Well, we're getting kind of close. So I got AGGA for my card. So all I need to do now is I need to turn this A into a G. Now if you look at this little guy here, to turn an A into a G is a simple rotation action. You can note here that if you want to change an A into a G here, it just costs 1 mutation cube. So that's what we're going to do. Alright? So I'm going to spend a mutation cube. I'm going to turn this little A into a little G. And there we are. AGGA. Now I can play powdery mildew. There you are, friend. So that's how you play a new card. Alright, and you can see how these are going to cycle back up here throughout the course of the game. Now I can keep looking around. Let's see if I can get to this puffball. I have a feeling since it's kind of the same length, maybe I can get there. Might as well try, right? Alright, well, let's think about it for a minute. I got AGGA. So maybe I can just rotate and flip my way to victory here. So let's see. I need to get this last one here is an A, needs to be a C. That's going to be a little tricky. So to get from A to C, what we have to do is go A to G and then G to C. Alright? And effectively all this looks like is, if you're looking on this little guy, you're just going to rotate it and then flip him around. Okay? So that's going to cost you 3 mutation cubes. So I'm going to do that. We'll see if we can get there. We'll try. Alright, AGGC now. I just need to get a few more things. I got 2 here, so I can spend 2 to go from G to a C. I can flip it over. So AGCC. How about that? We're getting closer. I'll spend 2 more cubes, and I'm going to do the same thing with that first G. So now my sequence reads, we'll see it, here you are, ACCC. Pretty close, but we're just too short. We need that extra G right there. So unfortunately, this round we're not going to be able to get there. As you get better with the game, you're going to realize, maybe I don't have enough. I'm going to hold back my resources until the next round. Maybe I'll get some other link in here that's going to help me out. But for right now, it suffices to show, this is how we get from point A to point B. Alright, if I had 2 more of these little cubies, what I could do is spin those, rotate that bugger right there, and play another card. But we'll have to wait. Or I'm sorry, not 2, just 1. Only costs 1 to get from A to G, right? But we'll have to wait on that one until the next round, until we get some more mutation cubes to play. And as we've taken all our time to do this, all of our friends at the table are probably about done with their turn, or at least, maybe something else interesting has happened. Or maybe you're just bored. Well, we have the solution for that too. We got all these little fun flavor texts for you to read. So you can start reading through, what the heck is this puffball deal here? This looks like lemon meringue pie, which sounds pretty good. Alright, so you can start reading all these guys, and as a variant for educational purposes, if you're doing this in the classroom, if you got kids you're trying to teach biology to, or maybe just doing an enrichment program. I've done a couple of those with after-school activities for kids. It'd be fun to have kids read these as they play them out during their turn. So, for example, when my turn comes up and I reactivate all these cards, when I bring this guy out of my reserve pile, I can go ahead and read powdery mildew, and I say, powdery mildew, some fungi are particularly bad for plants, yada yada yada. Alright? So you can go through these and have students actually teach each other stuff about different organisms, which is really fun when you get to dinosaurs, right? I mean, who doesn't love dinosaurs? So that's pretty much it. That's how you play. As you get 3 catastrophes, game's over. Yeah, I know. Short, right? There you are. That's the whole thing. Simple, fun, easy, metagene. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your time, folks. Hope you enjoyed playing, and look forward to hearing from you. Also, I am well aware of the fact that TAP may or may not be copyright. We're just using these for prototyping and playtesting purposes. So all the names and some of the mechanics are probably honestly going to change by the time we get to the point of even releasing this to the market. This is just for friends, family, and people that are really into the playtesting to be able to utilize a little bit quicker. So use those familiar terms. And again, special thanks to Wikipedia and Renee Campbell for all the delightful images. We're working on copyright law at this point for everything. So bear with us as we learn how to do things here. So hope you had a good time. I sure did. Thanks a lot for watching.